Welcome back to part 2. So the next job on the list is to attach some battens to the side panels so that I can mount all the connecting panels in between. I've got something to screw to. So what I'm doing here is ripping down a 3x2, just a cheap piece of wood that I can use, but it's too big, so I need it in smaller chunks. My table saw struggles with this sort of thing a little bit, but we got through it in the end, made a lot of mess. And I cut them down to roughly 20 by 20 mil strips. Got my new angle finder tool here, which is really handy. Absolutely brilliant little tool. Amazon, £15.99. Trend is the make. Really recommend it. It's brilliant. I'm really impressed. Very good quality. My favourite saw, my Ryoba saw. You can just cut anything with this. Well, you can cut most jobs with this. It will do everything from fine to reasonably tough, long rips. I'm just holding a piece of 18mm MDF and making sure that the side panel just barely overhangs, so that when I come to rub it down, it's easier to rub down the end grain on MDF than it is the face grain. There's no grain, but if you know what I mean. I think these are 30mm brad nails. And they're 16 gauge. They leave hardly any hole. They're great. Oh, I love my brad nailers. I've got a 16 gauge as well, but it's too meaty for this sort of work. Smear some mustard on. I switched to this smaller piece because the pieces of pine that I'm using as battens, they're not high quality, so they're a bit twisty. But once they're held in place, they're nice and straight, as long as you straighten them as you go. Clean up your glue as well, because you don't want to be scraping that off afterwards. It will hold the pieces away from each other. Yeah, great camel work. You see this one's a little bit bowed. It's not laying quite flat on the side piece. It's fairly straight along the bottom. At the end of it's just lifted up in the air a couple of mil. But that's not a problem. It really doesn't matter. It's just to give the glue something to hang on to. Yeah, you can see that's wobbling a bit. Straighten that out a little bit and whack a nail in. Good to go. Moved over onto my main workbench because the light's better over here for me. Still getting used to this tool. I'm not quite sure how to tighten it up without moving the angle yet. It's very accurate. You know, that engineer square, it agrees that that's 90 degrees. Using a combination square on the end there just to mark a line where I want the ends of these to come to. They don't quite reach the end. These pieces are going to be where the interior LED lighting is mounted to on the ends of these. There will be a piece of plywood or hardboard that the LED lights need to be attached to. So I'll have 4 pieces of this batten to attach that to the ends of these, which is why I didn't take it all the way to the end. Again, not really necessary to support it all the way. They don't really... You could get away with just gluing this together without any battens, and it would probably be fine until someone sat on it. Just flushing up that end piece there so that when I come to glue the top board on, that it's got a good surface area to attach to. Just making sure that they're square. I forgot to check before I actually attach them. And a little bit of drumming. It's thinking time. What do we do next? So this is the bezel part of the side. There's no fancy angles on this one, and this one again is a little bit bowed, so I've just chosen 2 sides that are straight, and I'll put one on that's attached to the side and one facing the front where the actual bezel will attach. The other 2 sides are not important at all. I just marked a line up the back there so that I've got another reference to when I actually put it down. Okay, that just leaves the control panel now. So that's the actual bezel board, and I'm just marking the exact end of it now that the top batten is in place. And I've put that board there in its place so that I can see where this batten needs to go to. And then this will have an angle on the end of it to match the control panel, so that the front board underneath the control panel has something to attach to. And the same for the other side. I didn't film all of it. You can see the terrible quality of the wood here. But it really doesn't matter. In fact, the all of the wood on the second side is slightly different size to the wood on the first side, but in the important dimension, it's exactly the same, which is 20 mil wide, enough for me to get brad nails in through the outside into these battens. Using a marking knife to cut these. I could have cut all of these battens and their angles on a miter saw, but it's actually just more fun doing it with a hand saw. And the miter saw makes a mess and is very noisy. Not quite right. Take a little bit more off. There we go. This mustard has amazing sticking properties. And there we go. That's two sides done. You can see the difference in the thickness of the wood, but the width is the same, so it doesn't really matter. They are all reasonably accurate to the lines. Any mistakes can be rectified with sandpaper and wood filler. But I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.